guys, it's oh, what time is it this morning?
Well, it's about 7:30. It's outrageous. It's dark. What's going on?
It's very dark. Not sure whether you can actually see
Look,
us.
I'll put the light on briefly. It's dark.
Yeah, it's very early. It's cold and it's wet.
Oh, it's
and,
disgusting weather.
It is horrible. And yeah, I had to get up really early from my lovely cosy motorhome bed.
Yes.
But anyway, we're on our way to the garage to get the suspension done. Very exciting. And which you will be filming, won't you?
Yes, we'll be filming indeed. So we're going to A&E Leisure, which is in Northwich. So we're, if you've seen our other film from Belmont Camping, you'll know we're just outside Northwich. So on into A&E Leisure, VB, air suspension, comfort edition. Let's get going.
Absolutely.
Well, we've got here through that horrendous weather. We're in at A&E Leisure, and look at this. It's like a candy shop. Apart from next door in the unit through that wall, which is full of self-leveling satellite gear, VB Air, you name the mod. It's in the 11 units of this size that they've got here, but this one is retail. Yes, definitely a candy shop. It's a be a bad place to wait while the van's being done, although of course I'm going to be filming a bit, but it would be a very bad place to wait, especially down here. Let's show you down the stairs here. Look at that, more candy. You name it. So if you're getting your van done here, then bring a shopping list, because they've got just about everything here. Well, in fact, not just about, I think they have got everything. Look at that. Absolutely everything. Caravan, camping, gas, electric. God, is there anything they haven't got in here, eh?
No.
To gas convert, they have, haven't they? Gas conversions, LED lighting. Wow. Gonna leave my wallet in the van. I think that's probably the safest option. Oh look, and Cadac. Oh, you guys know that I like a bit of Cadac. Look at those, they're nice ones. Grillo Chef, yeah. Wow. Lunch sorted then. Could come and start up the barbecue in here, I think, Russ, for lunch. A couple of toasties, that would do well. Cool, look at that. Carpets there, Res. Look, you like a bit of a carpet, don't you?
Look at that.
Outdoor carpet, not sure about that. Cool. Curtains for your awning. Oh look, and I'll have to show you this as well. My niece Emma loved this for her little one. Look at that, a little baby camping chair. Fantastic. Straps onto the existing one. Brilliant, a baby high chair. Never seen one of those before. Would have probably had one when our girls were little, when we were in France camping all those years ago. They're a little bit bigger than that now though. Cooking, camping, blimey. Absolutely everything, haven't they? And in fact, I know where I'll be while they're doing the van. I reckon we'll come into the back corner of the showroom, get my head down for 20 minutes after that early start. Nice and warm in here as well on this cold January day. Well, you can certainly get a very good flavour of what you, if you fancy an awning, then you can certainly come and have a look at all of them up there and down here. It's like being at the Caravan and Motorhome show again with all the awnings set out. We're in Northwich in Cheshire, obviously, as a reminder, where A&E Leisure are. As we pulled up here this morning, I'm looking for a little industrial unit about the size we're in now. And not only have they got this one, but they've actually got 11, they tell me. So they've nearly taken over this industrial estate. It's a good business, is the camping, caravanning and outdoor leisure. A great little business to be in. Oh, what's that one like? Comfy, is it? Yeah. Haven't you got yourself sorted out with a TV or anything yet? There's probably a load up on the wall there. We can get one set up. Do a field test. Out into the main yard there. Oh, look at that. That was of course a possibility with the van, but I'm sure, as you know, it's slightly more expensive than semi-air. And let me just show you, not for long because it's still raining out here, but all of these units across there, A&E Leisure, and then nip out into the rain. We're in one of these. Oh, there she is. Yeah, we'll go back in there and have a look at that in a minute. But these two units as well. So yeah, a huge setup here, and it'll certainly cater for any mods or extras or bits and bobs you want added to your caravan or motorhome. Well worth checking them out. They've been absolutely brilliant as well on the phone, because we've done everything on the phone, as we're right down in, I'm just going to stand in this awning, we're right down in dim distant Wales, so been really good on the phone, talking us through all the options, setting out prices straight across with quotes, PDF quotes, so and all the options, you know, within the suspension that we're fitting today. Went through all the options available and priced them all, so it's been a very straightforward and a very good process actually. So so far I've nothing but good to say about A&E. They've been absolutely excellent with this process, so very much looking forward to the work being done today. Well, she's almost ready to be lifted up. It's just doing a bit of dashboard work, but look, here we go. This is what's going in. So that, we're obviously on a Fiat Ducato base here, so yes, it's a Mobilvetta A-class motorhome, but as a absolute stack obviously of motorhomes out there, yours perhaps included, that runs on a Fiat Ducato chassis. This one is just the slightly upgraded 4.4 ton one, but indeed that doesn't mean much to most Fiat Ducato chassis. It's the non-Alco chassis one, and most of them are the same. So, but more particularly, the Fiat dashboard at the front is also very similar between all the Fiat based motorhomes, so that's why some of these pieces are generic to any Fiat based motorhome. And therefore this piece, for example, there's a good example, the shape of that just to the right of the steering wheel, down where at the moment we've got a little area to store some pens and bits and bobs. That piece, as some of you that have got the vehicle will know, that piece will fit perfectly in there, and that's got the two individual gauges on which control the offside and the near side rear suspension. These are obviously your air pipes that come through to these bellows, which fit one on each side of the suspension. There's the little compressor that's going to fit under the driver's seat by taking a couple of panels off, not actually physically under the seat, you can see, but in a recess, which I'll show you, which is just sort of under the driver's, the first footstep as you climb in. They take a panel off there and hide it behind that. There's some of the instruction manuals, VBR suspension, and fitting instructions. Obviously we've obviously got the Ducato, but you can see there that it's good for a number of different Peugeot or Citroen, Vauxhall based campers or motorhomes. The other option, which we're also going to be looking at, is potentially the coil springs, but what we don't know at the moment, there's about 2 or 3 different types of spring that could be on this vehicle at the moment. It's often denoted by, on the actual stem itself, this one won't have it because it's obviously perhaps not a Fiat part, but on the top of the coil springs, somewhere up under here, there are 3 little coloured dots which denote which type of spring you've got on. And I think obviously this could be heavy duty because we've obviously got the 4.4 tonne chassis, which is one set of coloured dots, and then there's other sets of coloured dots which might be, say, a comfort front coil spring or whatever. So we're basically going to jack it up, have a look, see if we can work out what's on it, and see if there would be any advantage of also changing the front coil springs. The whole aim being, well, 2 or 3 aims really. One is to improve the handling at the rear of the vehicle, because a lot of you will know, when you, particularly the longer vehicles, you've got a lot of weight at the back. Water tanks are fairly central, or just in front of the rear axle there, but a lot of the weight's in the back, so it does wallow a little bit. And the VB semi-air on the rear does, from what I've seen all the reviews, does really help to improve the handling and the ride of the van. You can obviously adjust it, as you saw there on the gauges, so you can adjust it to improve or tighten or lift, but what it also gives you as well is, because you saw the comfort version has got those 2 little gauges which allow you to control both offside and near side independently. It also means that when you're static on site, you've got the ability to either lower or raise the rear of the vehicle, or indeed you can actually lower or raise the offside or near side rear of the vehicle. So in other words, it's got a limited amount, not loads on, nothing like full air, or nothing like the full self-leveling system, which in fact it looks like those are some jacks for a self-leveling. So nothing like that sort of range of movement, but from what I could gather, it was something like it was over 100 mil, which we'll obviously check, and we'll do some tests for you when we're fitted and up and running. We'll do some tests to try and measure the rear, because obviously the overhang at the very rear would have the biggest effect. So once we're fitted with the semi-air, we'll just sort of basically run a ruler on the end and then drop it from lowest to highest point and just see what sort of movement you get. So it does give it gives that little bit of adjustment when you're static on a pitch, to help to level the van. I guess I'll still of course have the Malenko leveling ramps in there, because as I say, it does a sort of 100 mil, perhaps 140 mil at the best. But that in fact, the site we're on at the moment at Belmont Hall, that would certainly been enough to actually level us up, because we were only about 50 mil out, so 2 or 3 inches out. So anyway, that's the plan, that's the kit. That's all the bits and bobs that A&E are going to fit for us today, and looking forward to the work. And there we go, the first bit. So that was the step piece, which is over there. That's, as you'll recognise, the step, your driver's footwell step, and in here, in this space here, is where they squeeze that little compressor that we just had a look at, and then the cable run comes up here. There's that recess that I talked about, which you'll have on your Fiats, which is my pen spot at the moment, and that's where those gauges will go. So that's the plan. There she goes, going up. That's some serious portable jacks there. That's 7.5 tonne lift on each. That is some good lifting kit there. Axle stands going in underneath. Gosh, It's rare that you see the underside of your van in this state. So axle stands have gone in. We've dropped the jacks down a bit so that these current gaiters are obviously separated away from the leaf springs there, which is ready then for Matt here to start doing the magic. There you go. So it's just dropped down enough to enable him to work on this area where those two new gaiters that we saw, or bellows, probably neither of which is the technical term, but you know what I mean, where they're going to be fitted. And that's a good reason why I'm not doing it. Oh, and while we're under here as well, I bought some of this, I think the brand is called Collapsible. So I fitted, oh, in fact, there you go, Collapse, C-O-L-A-P-Z. So I fitted onto the existing tube. This is obviously my grey water dropout. So I fitted this piece on. I've obviously got to cut it down to size and just trim that top off, but I've added a little jubilee there to keep it on. And then I recently bought, to go with that, I've got the first section of pipe, which is a 90-degree bend here that could take it out to the side of the van, but I've also got I also bought a 46-litre waste hog which slides under the van, and actually the entrance to the waste hog sits a fraction below that. So it was just giving myself a few more grey water options. The piping I'll probably add to, because that can then allow me to perhaps go to a grey waste drain on site. But then obviously the waste hog, if we've got no on pitch grey waste drain, then the waste hog just makes it a bit easier to empty out the grey and ship it to the nearest grey water drop if we're going to be static on a pitch, say for 4 or 5, 6 days. Then our grey water fills, every couple of days, every 2 or 3 days it's full and needs emptying, so it'll make it a bit easier than having to move the van or use a bucket. So there's the old ones coming off. Sometimes, as Matt's telling me here, a bit of a nightmare to get these off, but a tap with a screwdriver and hammer and away it went. Oh yeah. But as the van's only about 15 months old, and that's just see the screw thread there where that's just come out of. And the other thing to note is, you see we've got a double leaf spring here. That's because we've probably got the 4.4 ton chassis. So that means a couple of these little bolts that Matt's got here. You get a couple of options with VBL. In fact, there's a perfect example. You see the different size. So the bigger one obviously allows it to span the double leaf suspension there. So what Matt's just going to do here is just the end of this bolt, because the bellows are sit here and it's slightly bigger than the other one, then he's just going to Dremel off the end of those bolts to so there's no abrasion on the new bellows there. Fantastic. And there we go. Slightly shorter bolt, just trimmed off just above my finger there, which I won't touch the end of because it will still be a tad warm. Just getting together some of the bits and pieces loaded onto the new bellows. And then just offered up to that original hole where we saw the old one come out of, and the start obviously of the air hose here. Lovely job. Even colour coded as well. Just releasing the bellows there, clipping the ties. Slowly expand. It's like opening up a new mattress, isn't it? Expanding into place. So we're just getting that new bolt tightened up into that original hole where the old ones came out of. Just down in the middle there, tightened up in. There we go then. So that's the slightly longer brackets, as we said, to fit over these two leaves. Just getting ratcheted on there. Top ones are tightened up. These ones just ready to tighten down on the nylocks. Last little bit there, just see that tiny little bit of paste there to verify that they've all been wound down and checked and tightened. So that's the offside ones wound down, a little bit of red paste added there. Show that they've all been checked, wound up to the right torque, and then next phase is we'll get these air cables. Matt's going to get them all conduited up, which gives them extra protection as they run along the underside of the van here. You can see you've got all your existing cable runs under here. Obviously we're not going to go anywhere near the brake lines, but some of these other existing cable runs and cable clips will probably be used, and then ultimately the destination is to bring them up through the battery box here, which takes them up into the van, and then on to the to conceal the run up to the dashboard there where we saw those gauges will be fitted. So next phase, and that's just the conduiting going on there, which, as Matt says, technically it doesn't need it, but A&E here certainly like to cross the T's and dot the I's, so it's just another belt and braces way of ensuring that those airlines are protected. There you see the just see the profile of the air pipe there, but so it's quite a sturdy pipe, but this conduit then makes it even more resilient. And then Matt's just doing a short section of conduit down to here with this first sort of metre or so, and then both the black and the green lines will come together into a larger conduit, which will take it up to the battery box there. And then Matt's using just an existing run here of some electrical cable to follow that with those two first conduited pieces before he joins them up, and then runs along the near side of the chassis there. And while Matt's just doing that conduit work, you can see obviously this is the anti-roll bar here that comes in here. That obviously helps to reduce the roll of the wallowing, if you like, of the handling of the van. But if you remember the old ones and how small they were in here, and the difference then that you get when you put this big unit on, and then once we've dropped the axle stands out the way, rather than this axle then pushing up on the old bump stop, you know, and compressing it right up almost to the bump stop, you've got therefore straight away a much wider gap here, and the van is going to sit higher already. And of course then when you start adding air to this, that then really stabilizes the rear end here, which makes it hopefully a lot more stable in the bends, a lot more forgiving, shall we say, or comfortable on perhaps some of the bumps. and undulations, and that's what helps to provide that smoother ride. Just leaving a little bit of excess conduit here each side so that it's not fully tight on the run as it heads off towards the battery box. And then working his way along, and then here we go. Here we've got the two smaller conduits going into a bigger one still, so some really good protection on these air pipes as they go forward towards the battery box there. There we go. There's the conduiting, bigger conduiting following the line now. Ready to trim off all these tails. So there we go. We've brought the conduiting up all the way up to the battery box. So that's all the conduiting done. Ready to drill into the drill a small hole in the battery box to take those two air cables through. So we just lowered it down onto the. There we go. So when we look at these, those were the originals in there that were compressed right up. Then you can straight away see the difference in just the difference in profile of those VB Air ones. That's even before we started putting air in them. Liking the look of those, aren't you? Coming down. And just there, we noticed that a little bit of the handbrake cable was not being held secure, and it had worn a bit by rubbing against one of those bolts. So Matt has very kindly taped it all up, re-secured it with some cable ties, and that's a lot more secure now. So yeah, very pleased. Definitely looking after me very well here at A&E Leisure, doing a sterling job. And incidentally, while it's coming down, you can see in there next door in the next unit some caravans. They actually do they do have checks here. They're NCC approved. So from the point of view of hab checks with your caravan, with your motorhome, they can do all that sort of stuff for you, and keep your checks up to date here. You'll see as well there as it's coming down that they've kindly hooked us up, so we've got stuff in the fridge and freezer. So they said don't worry with our gas, they've got a hook-up cable ready to go here, so you don't even need a cable, it's all ready to go. So if you're on the move like we are, and got stuff in your fridge and freezer and whatever, then they'll keep that at the right temperature while the work's done. Even better. So now we start the in the cab bit. That was that's obviously the step, the footwell step as you climb in. That's the first piece of the dashboard that we've also taken out to get the cable run. So you can see now, if you look in here, there's a bit more exposed here, ready for the next bit. So what we've taken out, that's obviously the battery box cover, which sits under your sort of just to the right of your passenger footwell there. For the that's for the main engine battery, obviously. So that's the bit where we're going to drill a hole out through the side of the battery box, just sort of on this right hand side. I think Matt's going to drill it, and that allows those air pipes to come in and then work their way up towards where we're obviously going to fit the dials on the side there. Go. Now you can see just on the edge there a hole that Matt's drilled, and there comes the pipe. I can grab it, Matt, if you want.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I've got the green.
Go in on that one if you can.
Yeah.
There we go, that'll be it.
Right. Yep, got it. Any more?
No, that should be okay.
They feel pretty tight.
That's it. Lovely.
And out. So Matt is now just feeding it under the central sort of footwell plastic there, where it can fit under okay. And obviously that's taking it across to the offside of the steering wheel there, ready to go up to those gauges that we saw earlier. So then this was the little cubby piece where I used to keep my pens. Obviously you can recognise the shape that fitted there. So what Matt's going to do in a minute is where you can see, just rest it there, where you can see that line coming around there, he's just going to use that, and there's a bit of a line, just see the line there on the other side. It's going to cut all of that back off, because obviously that's where the gauges are going to fit, and then the air pipes were going to be coming in the back here, together with the other bits and bobs that will make those gauges, the switching and stuff, which will make the gauges work. So all of this is going to be taken off. Get some light down there. So he's just fiddled the pipe work up under here, up this plastic here and up round the back, and then it'll obviously travel along round the back there, ready to come up to this point here, up the back of these pieces here, because this here is where it's going to sit. Fantastic, back cut off. So now it's time to get those gauges mounted up in the housing that Matt's just cut the back off. Tidied up the bird edges so it's nice and neat, and then with the little kit that VB supply, it's together with some of those other bits and bobs, then it's ready to start putting the new gauges together in their housing. Incidentally, for the this is obviously a Ducato, Fiat Ducato our van is, but for Peugeot and Citroën, was it, Matt? Yeah, for Peugeot and Citroën based motorhomes, then obviously it's an identical space because they're all based on a very similar chassis. So fitting those gauges into all three of those models is the same.
Yeah, even in the older ones they're a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a smart little, very smart little unit, that, isn't it? Yeah. And a right little spaghetti of joints at the back there, ready to do its magic. So we've then got the switches, the run of cable which comes down to the kit that VB provide, which is ready then to fit in towards the battery. So Matt's just putting in there a new piece of loom in effect, which will connect from the battery with the relay switch and etc. into this unit here. It'll take its feed from the engine battery, so the new piece of loom connects into this up to our new little panel here, which had those gauges on. And there's the new loom. Just Matt's just taking it or following the original wiring runs, which you can see. Rarely have those floors up. Look at the spaghetti of wires that's already under there. So just reusing those routes to take that piece of loom that I mentioned that's going to connect us up with the control panel. And there we go. So the air pipes have come up the back there now. Matt's connected some of that loom up, and is now just starting to get those new gauges in position before, of course, doing a big tidy up on all the cabling and wiring to get it all clipped in. Looking good though, yeah. Where on earth am I going to put my pen now that I put in there? Got nowhere for my pen, no, it's no good. Reverse the job. And you'll see there that coming from the back of the gauges down to where we're going to have the compressor, that's obviously a single and therefore coloured blue to denote that's just a single run of air pipe, which then splits into the to the green and the black once it hits the back of that control panel there. So just got the blue into position, ready to fit our compressor there. In fact, you can also see, in fact you probably can't unless I get some light on that. Yeah, you can just see that in this model. That's where my DC to DC converter is. The Nord Electronica electrics that are fitted in this van. That's where they hide that one away under the driver's seat there. And here, this is the loom that I talked about. There, that's the loom ready to be connected up, which you can see Matt has taken, following under the floor here, following that other electric cabling run. And the you know, what was really good to see as well is even down to some of that little plastic burring where Matt cut the back of this off, all smoothed off. Just, it's all that little attention to detail, all those finishes, which is really good to see. I'm really pleased with the work being done. So look at that gungy stuff. Fantastic. A bit of fix all on there, because that is the underside of our compressor, which is of course going to be glued into there. There we go, just going right up into that corner there, out the way of course of the plastic step. Look at that, fits like a glove. Perfect. That's the last of the wiring going in. The loom is hooked up there, so just getting the main air pipe in and connected to the compressor, and then it's test time. Matt was also saying how very pleased he is that I've got a UK setup in the van, i.e. we've got a driver's door rather than this being blank and the door being over the other side, which of course, as you can see where all this has been going on down here, makes you need to be a contortionist to start to fit all this stuff if you can't open the door. So a lot of it tidied up now. You can see it disappearing under the mat there, back out here. So Matt's gradually working through the jobs to tidy it all up. Cable runs, mastic all sticking well, and he added another little bit here just to stop the lateral movement of the any possible lateral movement of the compressor. And then we'll soon be getting these back in, but not before we've given it its first test. That's the floor panel cover that gives you access to your engine battery. I remember when I first took it off, they are when I first went exploring under the floor there, these aren't great, these fittings, and they were a right fiddly lot to do, and they are just sort of quarter turns, but as you can see here, it's pretty flimsy plastic, so you can see the way just with that quarter turn. Let's do this one, it's a bit less light. Just the quarter turn there that you need to do to actually get that cover off, or to get this piece just clearing the edge so that you can lift off the cover. So it's not a sort of full unscrew job, it's just to sort of take it 90 odd degrees or perhaps a tiny bit more to just get it to clear the lip of the cover, but they're not very effective bits. They just sort of hold it in place. Bit of damping down there on the back there. So that's if you ever have occasion to take off that cover. That's what's on the other side of it, basically. So the moment of truth. It's obviously intuitive in that it's a lift up the switches to raise the vehicle and vice versa. So let's give it a... Oh, that was right on cue, but that was a little tractor starting up. It wasn't the compressor. It's not that loud. But let's just... there we go. You can hear that. And similarly, press down. You can just hear that. Just hear the hiss there. So, looking good. Well, look at that, as if by magic. Turn me back for a minute and all the plastic panelling's gone back on. Look at that, who would believe what is hidden behind there now? Cable run was obviously under a bit of that. All back on nicely there, everything back together. There we go, look, fantastic. Well, and what's the time now? Let's give you an idea, guys. So, it's 11:25 now. We got here for smack on 8, because we're obviously just up the road at Belmont Hall camping, which is literally about 3 miles away. We got here for 8. They had us in the garage here in the rain at about 8:30. So 3 hours. 3 hours. All those bits and bobs that you've seen done, and done really well. You know, by absolutely no means a rush job. Really nice, and of course even the extras bits helping us out, sorting out the taping of that handbrake cable and all the extra little bits that we saw underneath there with the ducting and the conduit done for the air pipes and all that. I've certainly seen from looking on YouTube and other channels the air pipes underneath which haven't been conduited, so even that's good to see that that's done here. But yeah, what a job. 3 hours. So we've now got the fun stuff to start, which is of course checking to see what the front struts are before we leave. We were going to check those, and then of course we'll have the fun of seeing what a difference it makes to the ride of this van. Let's see if I can... There you go. Are we looking at it there? Oh yeah. So what I've tried to do there, I've wheedled the camera so you can just see those dots on the front struts there. Those are the dots that one or two you may have read about, which denote what type of front coil spring you've got fitted. Just wheedle the camera out. So what we've decided to do today, because that would indicate...
It's a heavier
They're
spring.
the heavy ones, aren't they? Yes.
Yeah.
So that would indicate that we've got the right heavy springs for this 4.4 chassis. So what we're now going to do then is we're going to try for the next 2 or 3 months live with the VB Air on the back, which I think will make a very significant difference, and it may be that we now never need to touch it. So we've got the right, in effect, we've got the right springs, right struts on there for the weight of the van. We've now got the significantly upgraded rear end for the van, and we're going to see what that's like now. Rather than fork out the extra straight away for this, we're going to see what the ride's like, see how this this change on the back suits us, and then perhaps as an afterthought we come back and think about doing say a comfort spring, because we've got the heavy springs on now. So you could go to a spring which is a little bit more, a little bit wider, often referred to as comfort, which would then give you that bit more travel on the front end. But of course, as all of you will know, the weights on the back, sort of centre point backwards, is where it really starts, with all the grey black water tanks, with the freshwater tanks, with then the garage weight and everything in it. So yeah, this is very much about rear end. So I think probably now living with this for a couple of 3 months, seeing how it handles, what changes, how it's improved it, and then we make another decision. But I suspect already that it might be that we now are sorted until I win the premium bonds and I go full air or full self-leveling one day. Okay. So if you watch really carefully, you can now see the wheel arch starting to lift. You can hear the compressor buzzing away there. Yeah, already I can tell, knowing the van as you do when you're cleaning your wheel arches, that this gap is already pretty big now. Yeah, look at that. Wow. You can hear there's those bellows now. That's fully inflated, is it, Matt? Yeah. So that's fully inflated, that's up. And showing what, 4 points or? Oh, sorry, that's only at 2 bars, sorry. All right, 2, yeah. So you can see. And then just let me know what numbers you're on. Right, we're on 3 bar there now. So that's 3 bar. You can see it's still lifting here at the back.
There you go. So that's 4.
4, yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah, you can certainly see that it's opened up this gap on the wheel arch there. Okay, and we'll and then take it all the way back down again. Here the air disappearing there. Yeah, look at that gap closing right down. Yeah, and that's right down to 0. See, we're compressed up again there. Yeah, that definitely is definitely quite a bit of lift in that. But we'll do, when we get the chance, we'll do that test I talked about, which is at the back end here, where obviously any of that lift will be amplified. I'll sort of drop a meter rule down, and we'll do another test on that at some stage to sort of try and put a figure on that lift at the very back of the van, which, as I say, could potentially be somewhere around about 140, 150 mil. But as I say, we'll get hopefully a more accurate view of that when we got a ruler on her. Fantastic. And there it goes. Back down, front struts inspected, and coil springs obviously to get that colour combination that denoted what we had fitted. So we're now, yeah, not even midday, and done, tested, fitted, put back together, cleaned up. Absolutely excellent service. And of course, now for the test. Out on the road. Yeah, be time to pay soon, and we'll let you know, guys, how much we've paid for all that work. This, incidentally, while we're out in the yard here, just waiting for them to finish off, they do some shows here. They've got one coming up on the 28th of January, I think, and they set out a stack more awnings. I mean, you've seen a lot in the showroom there that are already out on display, but they put more out here. They also open up some of these garages as well, and set out some of the sort of modifications that you can do, which is the VB Semi that we've done today, but you've obviously got some full VB air, full air suspension kits there, which obviously are a fair bit more. Perhaps 5 or 6k for a full air kit. You've got the EP self-leveling systems here. Solar, they do a lot of solar work here, solar panels. So there's a number of modifications for sort of aftermarket modifications that you might be doing on your van or your caravan, that fit those headings I've just gone through, and of course more that might lead you to want to pop up and say hello to A&E Leisure, to perhaps come to the show that I mentioned, which will give you a chance to chat to some of the staff here, who, as I said or mentioned at the earlier part of the film, have been really good. I've dealt with James a lot here, who's one of the co-owners here of A&E Leisure, and he was able to take me through every single option that we had for suspension for the van. Very informative. I still went to 2 or 3 others to check out pricing, but I've ended up coming back here to have the work done. It was a good package overall, some very good advice, a very competitive price. And as I was saying, 28th of January here, for the whole weekend, in fact 2 days, this is just a small selection of the awnings that if you wanted to pop up here at the back end of January, cold rainy weekend, but no doubt because it's the 28th the sun will shine. Come and have a look at some of the awnings. Obviously if it's bad weather then it will be in the showroom, which was over the other side there where we were a minute ago, but then perhaps some more awnings set out on the car park here if the weather's kind to James and his team. That servicing, goodness knows what else, loads going on in these units here. Take a weekend out and come and have a look. There you go, there's some of the contact details as well. There's a really big online presence as well that A&E have got on their retail side for some of those accessories you saw in the shop there, so do have a check out of their retail site as well. And if you can't make it on the 28th, then you've certainly got some options to buy online as well. And yet another one of these sheds, you can hear it going on in there behind us, over there. Any work, servicing, hab checks, damp issues sorted out, you name it, can be done in this part of the A&E Leisure business. So just about a one-stop shop for absolutely anything you'd want to do with your caravan or your motorhome. Top place, what a good little stop off. Right, so just before we leave, let's show you the last couple of bits. So all fitted there, you can see that's just kicking in the compressor there. I'll just take that back down so we can operate them both independently. And now the magic, or not the magic, depending on how you look at it, the cost then. So for the VB Semi-Air Comfort version, which gives you that individual controllability and stuff, then that was £11.99 here at A&E Leisure. And then with it as well, you get obviously your instruction manual in a gazillion languages. This is the TUV, because it's a TUV classified modification. So obviously the TUV standards, I think it's a German standard TUV or certainly a European one, which just shows that that the modification itself complies with all the various European regulations that it has to. You also get from which is a VB product as well, this little driving license size things, which gives you a guide here as to what pressure you might be using on your gauges there, and on the back here it just gives you some more information there about about what these numbers mean. So that's the full package as we fire up the van and prepare to head off. The gauges, incidentally, as you've probably seen already, they are set to bar only, even though that little card obviously has PSI. It gives you an idea of what the conversion is there, but the gauges themselves are just bar. So what I've done is we've arrived back at Belmont Hall, and I'll tell you about the actual driving along bit in a minute, but I've set the truma level up on the hob, which I often do, and let's just see, Nicky's up the front there, and yesterday when we got here we were down on the front left of that corner, so what I'm going to try and do is drop the rear right and just see what it does to this levelling. Okay, give it a go, Rez. Right hand side, yeah?
Just under 2.
Yeah, keep going down, right the way down.
about half a bar now.
Yeah, going right down to the bottom until it stops. Yeah, loving that.
So what we got now?
Yeah, so it's basically leveled the back of the van out from where we were last night, where our little leveling ball was right in the front hand corner here, because we were tilting towards the front right. The pitch anyway, as you can see if we look out the window there, the pitch has got a very slightly backward slope, which we weren't going to bother too much with, as you can see. But whereas there was about 12 centimetres difference between left and right, you can see that they're just about the same now. 20, just coming up 21, and this one's in 21. The ball has gone to dead centre, and we'll get out in a minute and just have a look at the van, see what it looks like from the outside. But so that's basically levelled us up on the pitch compared with what we were at last night, by dropping down the rear offside. So what I did there, I put both of the rears up to 4 PSI, 4 bar, and then I dropped the right one only, the offside wheel only, rear offside wheel only, down as you heard there. Nicky's taken it down to 0, and that has levelled the van right up on the side. So that's, you know, that's already proving to be a very useful addition for when we're static on pitch. But let's hop out and I'll show you what it looks like on the outside. There you go. There you can see the rear near side up round 4 bar, and that's chatting to James and the team at A&E, that's heading towards the max, and obviously the compressor just wouldn't be able to physically push the air in, a bit like if you massively overinflated a tyre. It'd get to a point where it just you just couldn't forcibly put any more air in. So he said it should be up round the 4 bar mark, and that's where that one is. And then we, as you heard, went ahead, dropped the rear offside right down to 0 there, and it's actually levelled the whole van out, as in right to left level, as opposed to front back, which we're always going to have on this site, because there is a very slight drop in it, not massive, but about a 6-inch drop front to back. So there you can see the difference in how much of the wheel arch to tyre is showing there. And see this one is sitting much lower there. So that has, and as I said, you know, when we were in the garage there, it's a small amount. You know, it's nothing like your sort of range you can get with the full EP levelling kit, or indeed, you know, obviously if you've got full VB air, then you're going to get obviously the ability to lift up and drop down and all that. But in terms of price tags though, you know, this at 1200, which it was in total, the jump up then, if you went to VB full, then obviously you're looking at perhaps 6k, somewhere around there. If any of you are interested, I'm sure you could drop me a message, or you could find out from A&E indeed what sort of quote you'd get for a full air. But for a sort of entry level, where money isn't growing on trees times, then it's actually, for the effects that we've seen, it's already proving its worth. We've travelled about 4 miles to get back here from Northwich where it was done, and already I can pick up the difference coming through the bends as we came up the 559 there. What you often, you know, what we were get as you come into your left or right hander, you get that sort of roll as you start to turn. It's followed by the sort of roll that you can feel from the back end, especially obviously the more so when you're weighted. Even that short distance coming up, it's already much more solid. It's actually turning into the corners rather than rolling to the left and right in the corners. And that was running at 2 bar. And as they said, you know, mess around with it, experiment with it. It's so easy to do, but and so adjustable that you'll you know, you can find the optimum ride in terms of how much luggage, people, whatever you've got on board. But in that very short distance, significant changes already to its handling, and also, you know, feeling the bumps, as we'll all know as drivers of these things. I'm now straight away feeling more of the bumps at the front than we are here. So, you know, I'll never say never that we won't perhaps go, if we're heavy duty now, as I've said, if, you know, we might go to comfort and match the two up. But yeah, never say never, but a big difference already. Fantastic. Well, that was an exciting day, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Lovely guys at
Oh my
A&E.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with accident and emergency.
yes, it was. In fact, I've kept thinking that each time I say A&E Leisure, I just sort of think, how does A&E and leisure go together? They're a bit,
Yeah, I mean, a huge shout out to A&E Leisure. They've been absolutely brilliant in explaining things to us whilst we were having the air suspension fitted, and great couple of guys that we were.
Yeah, Fit and Matt, and James is one of the owners that look after A&E Leisure, and James's specialism is the sort of is the mod side of things. So of which VB Semi-Air that we've had today is one. So if you ring A&E, then ask for James, or it gives you some options on the phone to. If you're doing servicing, or if you're doing additions or modifications. So, but get hold of James. He will talk you through any of the mods you might want, be it EP, full EP self-leveling, be it VB full air leveling, be it VB semi. This being VB Semi Comfort Edition, or VB Basic. So there's a stack of options for you, and if you get the chance, obviously if you're in the area, then a reminder of the 28th of January. It's the weekend 2-day event. Hopefully you're watching this film before the 28th, or some of you will be, and have a good time there if you get to go along to A&E Leisure.
Yeah, and just to let you know, this is not a paid partnership
or
paid promotion. It's purely our experience with the company that we decided to go with to get our air suspension fitted, which we're very pleased with. So
yes, and you'll have seen, if you've watched our channel, that we've done a few films a bit like that, where we've highlighted those dealers or whatever they may be that we've come into contact with, that, you know, we've had a really great service from, and this is no exception. So as Nikki says, our thanks to A&E Leisure, and we look forward to bringing you a bit of feedback perhaps as we go along through the films about how that semi-air suspension is doing. But first impressions,
good.
love it.
Yeah.